The season against Crewe, but it wasn't all one-way traffic. Keeper Mark Evans just managed to get his fingertips to Craig Hignett's blockbuster. Dean Greygoose in the Crewe goal pulled off a miraculous save from Aidan Murphy's volley in the 68th minute, but the Seasiders weren't going to be denied. The crowd were ready to put their hands together for a goal when Mark Jewell started the move down the left. Tommy Mooney fires in a great first-time cross, and substitute John Asjan flies in on the end of it. 1-0, the final score.
No time for celebrations, though, as Doncaster hit back. Jamie Hewitt's free kick bypasses the home defence, and Mike Jeffrey turns neatly for his 7th of the season. It was Doncaster who came closest to snatching all 3 points. Mike Jeffrey again chases the long ball and does the hard bit by beating Mark Evans. But Lee Hurst stepped in to save the day, and Scarborough will be happy with the draw.
And that's the football picture this weekend.
From Scarborough's Mark Jewell at Bury. 1-0, half-time. Now, if you happen to collect dubious penalty awards rather than stamps, this one's for you. Kevin Hume seems halfway to the ground before Simon Thompson even arrives. There are also 2 Bury players illegally in the penalty area as Liam Robinson takes the kick. In any case, goalkeeper Stuart Ford ensured justice was done. And then his opposite number, Gary Kelly, gave Scarborough a second goal. Although Darren Foreman was fortunate to be allowed this much time to find the net. Rochdale 0, Scarborough 2.
Northampton, but Steve Cherry brought them back down to earth. Ray McHale blasted his side during the break, but they conceded a second within 2 minutes of the restart. A great goal, the other Aldridge, Martin, chipping home keeper Stuart Ford, who went on to be man of the match. Scarborough's second great comeback of the week began just before the hour. John Asjan was twice involved before Darren Foreman got the final header to score the first. 2 minutes later, a moment of magic from Paul Mudd. The Seasider skipper has never scored at the McCain Stadium, yet he threaded his way through the Cobblers' defence to make the scores level. Manager McHale had threatened to replace Foreman at half-time, yet the big striker got on the end of Chris Curran's flick to head home his second. A minute from time, he earned himself a £200 bonus when he got his third from a narrow angle and became the first Scarborough player to score a football crescent.
Yesterday was Rochdale's turn, lined up for the first North East derby of the weekend. Scarborough's Darren Foreman wasted no time in breaking the deadlock. He scored the league's fastest goal of the day after only 16 seconds. The Scarborough fans could see the floodgates opening, but Darlington kept their nerve and were unlucky not to be level 5 minutes later when Mark Doby rifled his shot against the post. It was end-to-end stuff, and when Scarborough threatened to extend their lead, Mark Pridder poured out all the stops to deny Tommy Mooney. Darlington fought to get on level terms and did so on the half hour when Mark Doby latched onto Mick Pickering's free kick and slotted past Stuart Ford to make it 1-1 going into the break. But Scarborough started the second half in the same way as the first. John Asjan allowed to invade Darlington territory without too much trouble before striking a hopeful left-foot shot past the bemused Mark Pridder. Ray McHale's side were in control, and with the top of the table in their sights, were looking to go further ahead. Mark Jewell's obliged midway through the second half, his first-time shot making it 3-1. Darlington pushed forward, and 10 minutes from time, Ian Jurieff lobbed over the stranded Stuart Ford to bring them back into the game. Scarborough, though, held out for their win.
It just sort of got played into their half from the kick-off, and it got cleared, and Tommy's just headed it straight back in. I've just sort of got over the defence, just hit it first time. It could have gone anywhere really with my left foot, but thankfully it went in the top corner. I turned around the lines when he said it was 15 seconds, and it was my first touch, so I was quite pleased with that.
That's action in the third. We move back up to the first division.
Scarborough side buoyed by 4 straight wins when Paul McGugan's free kick pierced a rather threadbare defensive wall. 1-0 then at half-time, but Scarborough hit back with an excellent solo effort from Darren Foreman. Suddenly, it was nice to be beside the Seaside. Things looked better still for the home side halfway through the second half. Not exactly pleasing on the eye, all this, but the end eventually justified the means for Scarborough when Lee Hurst bludgeoned his shot past Mick Leonard. That's Tommy Mooney getting more excited than Hurst himself. But the goal that denied Ray McHale's side their 5th win in a row was a real beauty. Stuart Cash's cross, a deft Norris header, and a high-class finish from Lee Turnbull. Scarborough 2, Chesterfield 2.
After their cup tie at Plymouth on Tuesday, they travelled to Carlisle yesterday to resume their chase for promotion. They took the lead just before half-time. Callum O'Hanlon got a hand to Lee Hurst's header, but Darren Foreman was first to the rebound. Ray McHale's side started the second half where they left off. John Ashjam runs onto Chris Curran's long ball and cut inside before beating O'Hanlon on the near post, only a minute after the break. But the rigours of a midweek match and the long journey seemed to tell on the Seasiders as they allowed Carlisle to get back into the game. Ian Arnold given all the space in the world to make it 2-1. The points were slipping away from Scarborough as Carlisle's player-manager David McCreary showed his team the way. Mark Evans was at full stretch to block McCreary's cross and did well to stop Arnold's follow-up. But Sunderland lone player Warren Hawke had the last word, 2-2 the final score. The single point lifts Scarborough